It's a great pleasure tonight. I'd like to introduce one of our great friends to Genetics Australia and a great personal friend of mine, Arnett from ST Genetics. Welcome to the Spring Bull Night, Aaron. It's a great pleasure to have you on board again this year, and thanks for participating last year. If you can give us a quick update on what's been happening in the US and at ST Genetics, that'd be great.
Sure. Hi, Nigel. It's great to see you, and thank you for the invitation to be on again this year. We're really excited about what's going on at ST Genetics, and we're excited to bring some of our genetics to Australian breeders, and very excited to have this meeting with you this evening. ST Genetics has seen a year of record growth in the United States in our beef program. We are fortunate to have acquired many of the feature bulls that sold in several of the breeds. Feel like we're really strong in the Angus breed right now, and very fortunate to have some bulls that are not only high fertility, high quality semen producers, but they're bulls that are outcross pedigrees. They're bulls that are very relevant pedigrees to US breeders, and bulls that really can move the needle in terms of their genetic merits. So we're fortunate to have some exciting bulls in the lineup, both young and proven sires, and looking forward to talking about several of those with you this evening.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the great partnership we have with you and with ST, and the great lineup of bulls that you can provide to us to make available to Australian Angus breeders. Aaron, one of our leading bulls for semen sales in the past 12 months has been Musgrave 316 exclusive, LD Capitalist son. His progeny have been very well received here in Australia. Our customers really love the calving ease and the balance of EBVs that he brings to the table. We've got some of our customers will have their first yearling sons selling by him this spring as well, and there's quite a lot of talk about those coming up for sale as well. What's your thoughts on exclusive, and how's he trending in the US?
Yeah, so it's interesting you mentioned his sales, Nigel, because exclusive is one of the top selling bulls. In fact, he would be tied with one other bull, Rawhide, for the top selling bull in our spring. So people really like the exclusive cattle. I think last year when we talked about him, I mentioned him as being a notch bigger statured, longer bodied, higher performing version of 316. And I feel even more strongly about that now than I did a year ago. Those cattle just have an extra stroke of growth to them. They're really powerfully made. They're long bodied, good performance cattle that wean off at heavy weights. But the other unique thing about exclusive is the daughters are now becoming in production in the US. And so I was actually just communicating with the owners, Tyler and Andy Musgrave from Illinois, and they're going to get me some pictures for our sire directory, and we can share them with you guys of some daughters in production, because the first daughters calved this spring, and they report excellent udders, excellent feet, the most young females in the Musgrave program. So we're excited about that bull. He makes a lot of semen. The fertility is outstanding. And he's going to continue to be one of the anchors in our lineup at ST Genetics.
Yeah, he's an anchor in the Genetics Australia program too, and we really look forward to see some of these sons coming up for sale this year as well. Moving on to our next sire, Aaron. This sire has been extremely popular with both our seed stock and commercial producers. He's a sire that offers a very rare combination of breed-leading calving ease, short gestation length, low birth weight, and extreme growth. He really bends the curve. This sire is Quaker Hill Black ONYX. He's a black granite son. He's top 3% of the breed here in Australia on calving ease, top 6% on gestation length, top 4% on birth weight, top 1% on 400 and 600 day growth here. So that combination has made him very appealing to a lot of our customers here in Australia, and the reports back of them are great. Their growth is really there. People are really chasing that. That's what they're getting paid for, and no issues there with the calving ease.
Yeah, we see that bull very similarly here in the U.S., Nigel. That bull is a highly proven bull in our lineup, and he's a big spread bull. He'd be in the top couple % of the breed for calving ease and low birth weight. but still he sacrifices nothing in terms of growth performance. What we find in these cattle, this is a bull that will increase stature just a notch. If you want to increase frame size and still keep that length of body, that performance in the cattle, Black Onyx is a great one to do that. I see on these EBVs that you've shared, he's a high indexing bull in your system, and he would read somewhat similar to that in our US EPD system. Just a high growth bull that really offers a balance of growth and carcass traits. And here's another bull that's a super high fertility bull in our system. In fact, this one would be labeled as a ultra fertility bull, which is our brand at SG Genetics of our high fertility lineup of sires. So I think you've identified a good one here, and we're going to continue to see heavy use of that bull. And there's good reason for folks to find him in Australia as well.
Yeah, I'll certainly back you up there on the comments on the fertility. We've had some great reports from customers and AI technicians around the country that have used him both conventionally and with sex sorted product. We've had some great results with both. And this spring, there's great availability of Black Onyx, both conventional and male and female sorted semen, all available as well. So he's definitely one to put on the radar for this spring. Aaron, S PowerPoint, he's been an extremely popular bull here in Australia for a couple of years now. We've seen numerous sons of his sell last year, topping sales all up and down the east coast of Australia, and selling very well in Western Australia as well. Our clients, they really love the calving ease, the lower birth weight, the higher growth that he brings to the table, with some pretty balanced EBVs and his outcross pedigree. The reports this year of his daughters that are now calving and in production have been really pleasing. The customers really love those. Are you seeing the same sort of thing in the US?
Yeah, absolutely. The Stickler herd continues to be one of the go-to herds and one of the most popular herds in the United States for their focus on maternal traits and making cows that really last a long time. And so PowerPoint fits that mold very, very well, and there'd be lots of PowerPoint daughters in the Stickler herd here in the US. As you mentioned, Nigel, his outcross pedigree offers a lot of mating flexibility for customers. That bull would be kind of a high marbling, high IMF outcross sire for us that also works very well in commercial heifer projects for his proven calving ease. He's another sire that's very good for fertility in our semen trials and our fertility trials that we've done here in the US. But one of the cool things about him is the look of his daughters. There's daughters that are probably 3 to 4 years old now in production here in the US, and he stamps these cattle with tremendous Angus maternal look. They're up-headed, really pretty necked, good shouldered cattle that have lots of depth of body. Their udder structure is super level and square. Teat size is modest, and the foot quality is really good in these cattle. So we feel like he is a go-to maternal sire in our lineup, and he's one of these bulls that's going to have lots of shelf life because his greatest value is going to continue down the road as people appreciate his daughters.
Yeah, I think Australian breeders are really starting to appreciate his daughters here in Australia. He's looking like being extremely popular sire here for this spring, with a number of forward orders already placed for him. So I'd really push anybody considering to use PowerPoint here in Australia to get your orders in pretty quick. Aaron, one of the most talked about and popular bulls in the ST program for the past few years has been SAV Raindance. Raindance has been one of our more popular bulls, especially female sex sorted straws. He's been very popular there with customers looking to breed some outstanding phenotype heifers, but he's been well sought after as well with the conventional product. There's some great reports on sons that are coming through the system here, but the body and the mass and the fleshing ability of some of his daughters that people talk about here has been pretty impressive. Is he still kicking goals here in the US?
Yeah, he is. Raindance, of course, was one of the members of that very popular flush of Charlot's Sons out of 4136 that sold at Schaaf's several years ago, and Raindance actually has more progeny in his database and more genomic progeny in the U.S. database than any of those flush brothers. He was used the fastest for good reason. Those cattle are really, really good maternally. Talking to Kelly Schaaf, he would tell us that they're some of the best females that have ever walked his place are sired by Raindance. And part of that is because of the fleshing ability that you referenced. Also, part of it's the udder structure. Extremely level uddered cattle. They have a long foreudder to them, a really tidy udder attachment behind cattle that have lots of longevity and lots of maternal look to them. I would point out that bull's foot EPDs a little bit. He's gotten to be a little closer to the bottom in the U.S., but we don't normally see that. I've seen lots of Raindance cattle. Obviously, some people have turned some of that in the database. So that's probably a place you'd want to mate him or protect him a little bit on paper. But so far, I think those cattle's feet are just fine, and we still endorse that bull as a very good maternal bull with lots of longevity.
Just arrived in the country and readily available as well. So
that bull is interesting because the females is what everybody talks about, but I'll tell you, I've seen some male calves out of Raindance that would be right at the top for muscle expression, rapid early growth, stoutness of bone, just a very robust masculine look. And people really like the Raindance sons, arguably as well as the Raindance daughters. So there's a lot of places to strategically use that bull.
Aaron, we'll move on to GAR Reliant. He's a surefire son. Surefire's been a sire that's produced quite a number of sons here in Australia in recent times. I really rate Reliant as the leading phenotype son that's come out of Surefire. I really think he's probably one of the better phenotype bulls that we've seen come out of the Gardner program for a number of years. I was very impressed with him when I saw him in the US about 3 years ago. With his phenotype, it just really stood out. You know, he's here in Australia. He's got some pretty balanced calving ease and birth weight to growth EBVs, backed up by some pretty solid carcass EBVs as well, and ranking in the top 1% of the breed here in Australia on all our indexes.
Yeah, very good. Reliant is also a high indexing bull in our system in the U.S. and continues to be a very popular bull, Nigel. Just like you referenced, some of the people who are very picky about phenotype and really want to flush out the best bulls possible in terms of their eye appeal, their stoutness, their look, and their type, have used Reliant. I'll give you an example. The Monin program, Steve and Kathy Monin in South Dakota, have a set of Reliant calves that they like very, very much. So there's a bull that, you know, coming from the Gardner program that has extra mass, extra muscle. He's super wide pinned, super deep bodied. The bull just has an incredible amount of volume to him. Just a power bull out of that Gardner program. And also a bull that people like to use a little bit on heifers, but if you want to increase birth weight just a little bit, there's a bull that's kind of breed average, kind of right in the middle ground for birth weight and calving ease here in the U.S. That can make those calves a little more robust at birth. They have a little stouter look to them than some of the real extreme calving ease cattle that we sometimes see. The other thing is, from a carcass perspective, just like he looks in your data, that bull's bred to be high for marbling and ribeye and end product merit. And people really use him heavily here to increase some of those traits. So he's been an awesome bull for us. And maybe one of the most unique things is he is a docility improver. No question, one of the best docility bulls in our lineup. And it shows too when you go to the bull stud and see that bull. He just loves to be around humans and loves to be petted and just really enjoys having his picture taken. He's a great, great docility bull, and that stuff comes through in his progeny.
Yeah, I can attest to that. That was one of the biggest things that stood out to me when I saw him 3 years ago at the bull stud. Super quiet bull, super quiet. No issues there with him at all. And I think we're going to see that here in the progeny here in Australia. You know, there's going to be a lot of progeny born this year, and we're eagerly anticipating to see some of the reports come through on those as well. We expect Reliant to be, again, you know, another popular sire for us moving forward into spring this year. new young sires that joined the team last year, Aaron, and I recall you talking about him last year that we're expecting to be a pretty high performance sire. Is a bull called TK Driller. He's a Sitz Enhanced son out of a Rampage back to TC Total 410, who was 410 was an extremely popular bull here in Australia in his day. We see here his EBVs. He's a sire, he's a tick above breed average on birth weight. Extremely high growth bull, top 1% of the breed on all his growth traits. He stacks a pretty nice set of data as well for top 1% on carcass weight, 3% on EMA as well. So, and a very high indexing sire here in Australia.
Yep. So if you look at the percentile ranks across your EBVs, they would read very similar to what we have in the U.S. And that's why we identified Driller. I mean, he would be one of the bulls. As you put in sorts for high growth and high carcass merit, that bull still pops up as one of the elite bulls, even as another crop of bulls has come in behind him. He's one of the heaviest use bulls in our program for people to increase growth and carcass traits. That bull's a big ribeye bull in our data set and still very, very good for IMF. And here's another bull that's on our ultra fertility list. We identify bulls by putting several hundred straws of beef semen into some of the dairy herds. And this Driller bull has surfaced as one of the elite fertility sires in our fertility testing program via those herds. And so we think he's pretty interesting. As you referenced, there's some really good maternal bulls back in his pedigree. Of course, TC Total and the dam of this bull and grand dam of this bull are both very, very nice cows. So there's, as you look at him on paper, people want to kind of box him in as a terminal sire, but there's some very good maternal traits bred into this bull as well.
Yeah, I think there is. And, like I said before, the TC Total bull was extremely popular here. That's great news to hear about the ultra fertility data coming through on him as well. We'll try and highlight that in our sire directory this year and make people aware of that as well. And, he comes up very nice, top 20%, 35% on claw and angle EBDs here as well here in Australia. Musgrave Crackerjack, Aaron, he's another elite young sire that you've sourced from the Musgrave program. He's a stunner son. Stunner's no longer available. He's come up very nice on EPDs here in Australia, balanced calving ease, lower birth weight with some great growth as well. He's been available in female and male sorted straws as well as conventional here in Australia, which has all been very popular. We're expecting our first progeny to hit the ground this season here in Australia. What's the reports on the progeny in the US so far? Yeah,
that bull's been very popular in the U.S., Nigel, and in fact, the oldest cattle here are, they would have been yearlings this past spring for us, so they're coming on 18 months of age now, the oldest ones, and that bull has been extremely popular in both purebred and commercial herds, and the proven calving ease that bull brings forth really has made him popular this year for the commercial breeders. One of the unique things about Crackerjack is that, like you said, he's a stunner son, and stunner's no longer available, but he's got probably the most acceptable pedigree and the most maternal pedigree of all the stunner sons that are available and popular. This bull's got a lot of great cow makers behind him, lots of Pathfinder cows behind him as you study along the bottom side of his pedigree. So he's a unique stunner son. And the other thing about him is, for being the calving ease that he offers, these cattle have an extremely good phenotype, an incredibly good look to them. The cattle are very, very nice fronted, really clean made, straight lined, super deep bodied. They're big hipped cattle. So a lot of times these extreme calving ease bulls get a set of calves that maybe aren't as appealing phenotypically. This stunner son is kind of bending the curve for us a little bit in terms of being able to offer a acceptable pedigree and EBV profile, but still have the look that breeders are looking for.
Yeah, I think they will have the look that the people are looking for, and just reiterate, we'll have semen available, conventional and male and female sorted semen on Crackerjack this spring, and all going well, we might even have the right photo in our sire directory this year. Aaron, one of the the new young bulls that joined our team in our autumn this year was GAR Kansas, Ashland's son, Lot 2 bull from the 2020 spring sale at Gardner Angus Ranch. He's one of the first Ashland sons to come into our lineup. He offers a pretty balanced set of calving ease data, some low birth weights, some exceptionally good growth. And what you expect from a lot of the Gardner bulls, he's right up there in the top of the breed on carcass weight, eye muscle area, yield and IMF, and top 1 and 2% on all indexes here. Would you like to share some of your thoughts on Kansas with us?
Sure, Nigel. So Kansas is a very special bull, not only in our lineup, but he's very special to the Gardner program. As you referenced, he was Lot 2 in that sale. And the name Kansas actually is the namesake of the home state of the Gardner Angus Ranch. And Mark Gardner kind of had been saving that name for a very special Ashland son. And so Mark actually named GAR Kansas, and he's one of the heavy used bulls currently at Gardner Angus Ranch. Kansas has a unique blend with growing carcass traits. Mark really likes the bull because of his moderation of stature. If you look at his combination of growth and carcass traits and being breed average basically for stature, that's a pretty unique sort that you can do on Kansas, and hopefully appreciate that there's that much performance, there's that much carcass value in those cattle, but still keeping mature size under control. Fleshing ability should be very good in these cattle, and Mark really likes the package that we have in the Kansas cattle. We were fortunate to get that bull sampled very well right after the sale. That bull came in, froze semen right away on his first collection, and Gardner's plugged that bull in, as did several other prominent breeders here in the United States. So there are quite a few Kansas calves around in herds here in the U.S., and the early reports are phenomenal on those cattle. If you look at his the picture that is in the sire directory of him, that bull is very, very impressive. He have more base width, more muscle expression, just have a stouter look than maybe you'd expect from a lot of the Gardner pedigrees. And I will put this bull's fertility up against any of them. This bull's a high fertility bull. As you referenced, I think he's available in sex semen now in Australia as well. And we're just really, really excited to see what's to come with this Kansas bull.
Aaron, the second high-selling bull from the 2020 Gardner Spring Sale was GAR Greater Good, another Ashland son, going back to Surefire. He's a Ashland son that offers some real performance, top 1% of the breed for all growth traits here in Australia. You match that up with a great +2 on scrotal, top 1% carcass weight, top 3% on EMA, and top 3% IMF, and 1% on all indexes. Greater Good's been very popular here through our autumn breeding season. He's available in conventional and sex-sorted male and female semen as well. What's your reports on Greater Good so far from the US?
Yeah, so it's interesting, Nigel, that Greater Good, we talk about him right after Kansas. 2 Ashland sons, but I would tell you and your listeners that those bulls are very different in their type and kind, and I would make those bulls very differently. So Greater Good would be the bull that's going to be bigger statured, longer bodied. This bull is really up-headed, long-necked, really nice shouldered. He's got excellent feet under him, and he's got more base width than probably his picture represents. We're getting ready to picture that bull again. Greater Good will have a new picture made here this fall in the U.S., but there's some very interesting parts about Greater Good, and he's the bull that's going to have more performance, more yearling growth in our system, probably end up being the higher weight bull in terms of carcass traits and carcass weight. So a bigger scale, longer bodied version of Ashland, and a bull that will probably have some stature, will be a superior performance bull. The dam of Greater Good is an outstanding female that's been very popular in the U.S. In fact, that cow came up for sale several months back here in our country, and ST Genetics actually purchased her. And so we are flushing her, and we think very highly of Greater Good, and we wanted to have his mother when she came available. So another very unique Ashland son in our lineup.
That's great to hear. Real interesting that you've acquired his dam, and really look forward to some maternal siblings coming through the system in years to come as well. That's pretty exciting. Aaron, one of the bulls that I received numerous phone calls about, asking about the availability and when product will be available, is a new young sire that's created quite a lot of demand for you in the US, and going to be creating huge demand here in Australia is Poss Rawhide, the lot one top selling bull from the 2020 Poss Angus sale. Poss Maverick Son, going back to Poss Easy Impact. We've just received his updated EBVs here in Australia that include his genomics. Sits quite nicely at a +5 on calving ease, and below breed average at 2.6 on birth weight, out to 147, top 3% of the breed on growth. And a really balanced set of carcass traits as well, with top 2% on carcass weight, top 20 on EMA, sits in the top 30% on IMF as well. And we don't have it here yet, but you know, I looked at the US data and he sits in about the top 20% of the breed in docility over there. We probably don't have enough hours in the day for you to tell us all the good things about this bull, but if you'd like to share some of your thoughts on Rawhide with us, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, Nigel, Rawhide's a bull in the U.S. that needs no introduction. He was kind of known by his name the day he sold. He was a very popular bull that Posses had identified as a calf, and in Rawhide, and he kind of blazed a trail so far in terms of his popularity in the United States. He would be tied for our top selling bull, both in units and in dollars in 2021. He'd be one of the heaviest sampled young sires in the United States in the Angus breed, and for good reason. If you look at his genetic profile and you get some things that you referenced, he's a high growth bull, really, really good for carcass traits. He's a big time dollar beef bull. We have the dollar combined index here in the United States that basically combines calving ease, growth, feed efficiency, maternal traits, and carcass traits all into one number. And Poss Rawhide would be well into the top 1% of the breed for that index. So very, very popular bull in the U.S. We stay sold out of his semen all the time. And then, you know, phenotypically and from a maternal standpoint, a very, very good bull. Really good headed, good Angus breed character, awesome structure underneath this bull, super big bodied, really good feet. The bull just a really, really nice type and kind of an Angus bull. And then the cows behind him are tremendous. They're proven donors. Actually, the cow that I like to reference when I'm talking about Rawhide would be the granddam of this bull. She would be an all-round daughter that I saw at Posses years ago, and she was amazing. That a lot of cattle at Posses go back to this all-around daughter, and just tremendously productive, really good-looking, high-performing Angus cattle, and these great bulls are kind of the product of that. So if you look at this bull from any aspect, genetically, outcross pedigree-wise, and maternal traits, he kind of fits. And we've been fortunate that he's produced a lot of semen for us and would be one of the very high-fertility, high semen production Maverick sons in the breed.
Yeah, look, we're greatly anticipating the arrival of his first shipment here to Australia. I encourage people to stay in contact with us regarding the availability of him. I think it's going to be pretty tight, pretty hard to get available, but keep in contact with us. We'll have semen available at some stage, and we can't wait to get him into some herds here in Australia. Aaron, one of the most popular new young bulls that we've had available here this spring, Myers Fair and Square. You know, blueprint son, backed by a tremendous maternal pedigree. Anybody hasn't got on YouTube yet and seen the 3-minute interview that you've done with Joe Myers, I suggest to jump online and look that up on YouTube. But you know, he's a tremendous young sire that offers a bit of breadth in pedigree for Australian producers. Tremendous short gestation length, breed average birth weight, phenomenal performance. You know, he ticks a lot of boxes right across the board. Very high indexing young sire here. Extremely sound feet for claw and angle. EBVs. I'm sure that's the same there with your EPDs in the US. He's been extremely popular with conventional product and male and female sorted product here in Australia as well. You tell me you've got a couple of calves sitting about 100 yards from you outside behind that window there. What's your thoughts on fair and square?
Yep. I do have, Nigel, and I would say this is one of the most exciting young sires in the Angus breed here in the U.S. He would be right up there in our top couple of bulls for sales for us in 2021. Another extremely fertile bull, and the data kind of represents that as well. Here's a bull that we found as a calf at the Myers farm in Kentucky, and we found him on the side of his mother. And the calf was extremely impressive, no doubt, but his mother was a tremendous thunder daughter. And that YouTube video you referenced there, she's kind of standing in our background, so you can see a video of that cow, the dam of Myers Fair and Square. But Fair and Square offers breed average calving ease and growth, which we kind of like right now in the U.S. We feel like a lot of these cattle have gotten so small at birth that Fair and Square is a little more calf at birth, containing some calving ease. His projections for weaning and yearling growth are tremendous. Bull is very high for our heifer pregnancy EPD. I think you have maybe something a little bit similar to that in Australia, but maybe day calving, and I'm not sure how that correlates. But anyway, he's a very high fertility bull in our data set. And then the other thing is will be very, very outcrossed for his carcass traits. If you have some Gardner influence or some pedigrees that have a lot of the traditional high marbling, high ribeye types of pedigrees, Fair and Square gets you an outcross to those, but still maintains in the top couple percent of the breed for most of the carcass traits. So very, very unique bull. I have used him extensively. I've got calves here at my place. We're going to continue to use him. The first calves that I've got were born in February of this year, and they are tremendous. They've got extra muscle expression. They're extra wide based. I don't think he's going to be a stature improver or increaser. They're kind of breed average in terms of stature, maybe a little bit more moderate, which I kind of prefer because I think that helps the fleshing ability of the cattle. But extremely dense bodied, wide made cattle that are set out wide on all four corners of their body. And they're good docility cattle that just have a powerful, powerful look to them. And then to top it all off, he's a bull that moved the needle for us in terms of foot and leg quality here in the U.S. And I know you guys have done a lot of work with that in Australia, and that's something that you're very sensitive to. And we feel like Fair and Square is going to be a great foot improver here in the U.S. cattle.
Yeah, we greatly anticipate his first progeny being born here in Australia. He's a young sire that just offers so much right across the board, and yeah, just make our customers aware that he's available in conventional and male and female sorted semen as well. So give options there for him for this spring.
One other thing I forgot to mention that I think is important is the fertility back behind some of these cows. So the onward cow, which would be the grand dam of Fair and Square, that cow lived well into her teens at the Myers farm, and she bred first service AI for at least 11 consecutive years. And we don't know what the fertility of that is. We don't know what the heritability of it is, but we know that when you have cows like that in a pedigree that can last a long time, that's a good thing. And there's some unique high fertility cows back in the ancestry of Fair and Square.
And if you could just share with us now a bit of your insight on some of the new young bulls that we're going to have available this spring here in Australia from ST Genetics, with product arriving very soon. The first bull is a bull from one of the favourite places I've always liked to visit in the US, and that's Noel Crest Farms, with the bull being KCF Bennett Exponential. Casino Bomber son, not a lot of people probably know much about Casino Bomber here in Australia. Looks like a sire that's got some good calving ease and low birth weight with some very high performance. You'd like to give us a bit of an insight into Exponential?
Yeah, you bet, Nigel. Exponential is one of the very popular young bulls coming through our lineup, and we're excited that you have some semen on its way to Australia, because this bull is being used heavily as an outcross sire in the United States. As you mentioned, he's Palmer son out of a South Side daughter. There's no Gardner in his pedigree. There's no Keneally in his pedigree, at least up close. I mean, he's really an outcross bull to a lot of the popular pedigrees. He was the top selling Lot 1 bull from Knollcrest Farm in 2020. And that bull has come in and done a phenomenal job for us in terms of semen production. He would be one of the highest dollar combined bulls in the Angus database here in the US. And again, the dollar combined index is calving ease, growth, the suite of carcass traits, maternal traits, kind of an all-purpose or all-in-one index. He would be well into the top 1% of the population in our database. Some of the unique things about Exponential is that his individual performance was tremendous. If you look at his weaning contemporary group, he ratioed 114 for weaning weight. Then he went on to ratio 122 for yearling weight. And for his scan data, he was 101 for IMF and 117 for ribeye. So jumped through a lot of hoops. We still value those big contemporary groups like they can put together at Knollcrest, and this bull kind of did all that. Exponential would be heavily sampled in the US. In fact, there's a lot of Exponential calves born in 2021 already in the US. He'd be the heaviest used bull currently at Knollcrest Farm. Keneally Angus in Nebraska has Exponential calves, as do several other breeders around the country. So people are finding this bull. He's an outstanding option if you're looking for an outcross sire.
Yeah, we're greatly anticipating his first product arriving, and we should have some EVVs available on the bull in the very near future. But yeah, for anybody looking for an outcross high performance sire, certainly get in contact with us, and product will be available this spring on Exponential.
The other unique thing about him is that so many of these bulls that are superior for carcass traits and really get up in the top couple percent of the breed for growth and some of the terminal indexes, a lot of times their foot quality isn't as good as we would prefer. But Exponential kind of is a curve bender that way. His foot quality in our database is outstanding. I think you'll find the cattle look that way. The bull's got excellent toe shape and foot shape to him, and really excited and curious to see what he looks like in the Australian database.
Yeah, we can't wait to see that come through, and great feedback there on him regarding his feet structure as well. Something that we all pay great attention to. Another of the new young sires that are joining our team this spring with product now available is Sitz Intuition. Sitz profile son, back to the Jawa Traveller 589 bull. Sire that offers some calving ease, some low birth weight, top 20% on growth, great docility, top 5% on claw shape EPD. He's a +1 marbling bull, putting him in the top 10% of the breed. This bull looks pretty exciting, Aaron. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, Sitz Intuition is a really interesting young sire, Nigel. He was the top selling bull in the fall sale, so the December sale of 2020 for Sitz's, and a bull that would be one of the heavy use bulls, heavily sampled young sires at Sitz Angus currently. One of the unique things about Intuition is his pedigree is a little different for how high he is for IMF, as you referenced. In our database, he's over 1 for marbling EPD, which basically puts him in the top couple percent of the breed. But for that level of IMF, he's extremely outcrossed. And the other unique thing about him is he's got an older proven dam behind him that's a really, really good cow that's proven herself time and time again. The faster we go, the more genomic data we have in turning generations with these Angus cattle, we sometimes lose sight of the value of the proven Angus cow. And Sitz Intuition is one of these bulls that's got an older, highly proven dam behind him that really solidifies his place in our lineup. So bull's really interesting from a phenotypic standpoint. There's a video of him on our website. I think most of our Australian friends will appreciate first and foremost his feet. There are pictures of his feet on our website, and one of the things that I think is unique about him is his heel depth. If you look at his heel depth from behind, he would be one of the deepest heeled Angus bulls that I have ever seen, and very, very unique in that regard. But if you look at him from the front view, His toes are very symmetrical. He's got outstanding toe shape, and I think you'll find that his feet are very, very attractive in a breeding program where you want to improve foot scores but still maintain that balance of calving ease, maternal, and carcass traits. So we're excited about Sitz Intuition. The Sitz program is popular right now in the U.S., and for good reason. Bulls like Intuition are tremendous in terms of what they bring to the table, and they're actually quite a bit of outcross in those pedigrees. As you look back through them, you might say, well, there's a lot of older pedigrees in the Sitz herd, but relative to some of the genetics that we've used in the U.S., a lot of those pedigrees would be considered outcross pedigrees in our breeding programs today. So Sitz Intuition is a very interesting young bull that, again, can provide tremendous improvement for foot scores, but still keep marbling and some other traits up at the top of the breed.
Yeah, we're pretty excited to see how this young sire will perform here, and it's always great to see some of these young sires coming through that are backed by some of these strong, proven maternal lines with some of those great older sires that are well known back in there with 589 Sitz Alliance, well known, proven bulls that help solidify these young sires. Aaron, continuing on with the new young bulls that we're going to have available this spring from ST. Another young sire that offers, great breadth with his pedigree, backed by a very, very impressive data set with top 4% calving ease, yet through to top 2% on growth, top 3% on heifer pregnancy. He's good on docility, foot angle. He looks like he's ticks a lot of boxes. Is Hoffman Thedford. You share your thoughts on Thedford for us?
Yep. Yeah, sure, Nigel. He's probably of the bulls we just purchased this spring here in the U.S., he's probably the one that's the most exciting for me. We'll always find out in a year or two which one's the best one, but right now, Hoffman Thedford is creating a lot of interest. He would have sold all the semen he could have produced here this spring when we got him qualified, and for good reason. He would be ultra unique in terms of his genetic profile. He spreads calving ease with growth about as much as you can find one in the breed. He'd be slightly above average for stature. He's in the top couple % of the breed for scrotal circumference. And the unique thing about him is he's a high heifer preg bull in the U.S. data set. So compared to his sire, he's off the charts for heifer pregnancy, Nigel, and people really gravitate to him for that. And then if you look at his foot scores, he's in the top 4% for angle, better than breed average for claw shape, really good docility bull. And then across the suite of carcass traits, he's in the top 1% of the breed for carcass weight, breed average for marbling, but top couple % for ribeye. And it puts his indexes are incredible. His dollar maternal index is in the top 1%, dollar weaning top 1%, dollar feedlot top 1%, dollar beef top 2%, and dollar combined top 1%. So that's a pretty unique bull in terms of checking all the boxes for us. And the cool thing is his phenotype. Here's another one that's got a video on our website at stgen.com. You may incorporate it into your marketing materials as well, but we'd love for your customers to study his video, his picture, and then look at the maternal side of this bull's pedigree. He's out of a proven dam from Dave Hinman Angus in Montana, an Angus board member here who would be one of the very respected maternal Angus breeders, a man that's has generations of high performance cows in his herd. That's the dam of Hoffman Thedford. So really, really unique sire, and a bull that probably has as much chatter of the 2021 bulls as anything in the U.S. Angus population.
Yeah, we're pretty excited to see this young sire join the other group of young sires coming through. You know, a bull with such a pedigree that's outcrossed with stacks up with indexes that rank so high and balanced data set everywhere. It's great to see. We're really grateful for the hard work that you and your team do in identifying such impressive young sires, and the emphasis that is placed on, looking at the dams, the proven maternal lines that these bulls are coming out of. sets these young sires up to be bulls that are going to make a long-lasting impression in the breed in the US and in Australia.